Greetings, everyone. My name is Eliu Perez, and I am a senior client manager with Ardurra. And today, I have the privilege of interviewing Loc Truong, not only an engineer, but also a certified plant operator who's the leader of our water practice in the state of Florida. Loc, welcome to the program.
Yes, I'm so honored to be here. It's my first podcast, so I look forward to it for sure.
Loc, I'm an immigrant to the United States, and when I think of my story, I think that I have a terrific story, but when I hear yours, I'm humbled to pieces to learn how you came out of Vietnam and how you made it in the American dream. Not only that, you became a very successful engineer in our company, and you're a leader here in the Florida area. I would like to go back to the beginnings of Loc, when Loc was a child, how that went from being in Vietnam to being at the Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Tell me, please, a little bit about that story.
We left the country in an airplane, but it's not your typical journey that you just, get on an airplane, check your bags, and you arrive in Los Angeles. We actually started and we landed in Thailand. We had to go to a refugee camp. So we spent several months there, almost 6 months, in a refugee camp, just in a tent. I remember I have two siblings, an older sister and an older brother. And my sister would have to go take buckets of water, pails of water back to the camp for drinking water for us. She still remembers that, right? So that really shapes who you are, because you remember back where you have been through, what you've been through. Just looking at pictures and where I sit today, right, is a huge, just a night and day. So, by the time we left Thailand, after several months there, we came to the United States, landed in Los Angeles, where my family was. We lived in Newport Beach, California, from roughly around 1980 to 1988. My mom got recertified as a medical doctor, and she opened up her own practice in Florida, Pensacola, Florida. So we moved in 1998 to Pensacola, Florida, where she opened up her own practice. So I grew up from 88 to 97, going to high school in Pensacola in the Panhandle area. Beautiful area. We lived in Perdido Key, so from Newport Beach, California to Perdido Key was always somewhere on the coast. I graduated high school and then went up to New York to attend Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in 1997, which is a landlocked area, and it snowed every day practically from late October to April. Having graduated there, I started my first job as a process engineer for a big Fortune 500 company, Corning Incorporated, down in Wilmington, North Carolina. Really enjoyed it. I was in the process and product development group. Going to RPI, I met a young, beautiful woman named Tara Truong. We dated, in college, and she was still in New York while I was in North Carolina. So, it's kind of far to fly back and forth between North Carolina and New York. So I relocated back to New York and found a job at the City of Troy's 40 MGD water treatment facility. And I started working there as the utilities engineer and got into the wastewater industry, right? It was not something that, going to school, graduating with a chemical engineering degree, I thought that I would be into, if you will. So it kind of fell in my lap, but I guess I got there all because of love. I fell in love with Tara, and it brought me back to New York, and I was there from 2002 all the way through 2004. And one day I just woke up. I said, Tara, I'm just too tired of the snow shoveling, the cold weather, and I think it's time to move. I always, living in Newport Beach, California, Perdido Key, Florida, Panhandle, New York was something new to me. So I said, it's time to go south. And she even says to this day, she told her father, yeah, Loc wants to move, but I don't think it's really going to happen. Until one day I met Chris Cuzler at the company in an interview.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes. And that was in 2004, and that was, almost 20 years ago now. So yes, it's quite a interesting journey from being born in Saigon, Vietnam, and coming to the States and being here with you today for
Yeah,
this
the
podcast.
the story simply epitomizes the American dream. How did a son of a doctor choose a technical career? When did you discover that it was numbers that you like more than the operating table?
Oh, sure, sure. Well, the stereotype for especially Asian parents are always you had to be a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer,
Or an
or an
engineer?
engineer. So those are your choices. You couldn't choose from anything else. So I guess I at least made the choice of one of those careers.
Your career has evolved quickly at Ardurra, and it has become. You now have become a mentor to so many younger people that are just coming into the business, and I hear a lot of good feedback of people who work with you, because one thing that they have said is that you never come across as the boss. You come as a coach and as a mentor to these kids, and that's something that's really exciting. And I think that the young people that are looking at a career in engineering, would be lucky to be working under you because of the things that you have learned, the things that you have put to practice. But I wanted to ask you also about some lessons that you learned in our business, that you would want to share with the younger generations, and the challenges in coming into our profession and the opportunities available right now, because we have like 10 years or 15 years of prosperity facing us in the water and sewer business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, sure. Thank you for the kind words, Lu. I would say I want to first start by, saying that, every leader always has a group of great folks that supports that leader, right? And I wouldn't be where I am without all of the engineering staff that work for me in Tampa and all around the Florida offices, for sure. We have a great bunch of engineering technical staff that does everything from your design, writing technical specifications, reports, doing hydraulic modeling, to the drafting, to the administrative staff. So I wouldn't be where I am without them. So definitely it helps. And as a company, I think we have a great group of staff all around the Florida offices that do the water and wastewater. I'm very proud to be their leader. As far as what you can look forward to as a young engineer entering the field, really the biggest thing is you just have to have an open mind, an innovative mind, right, to learn, because a lot of what we do requires a lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork. It's not a do-it-yourself, and so it requires a lot of thinking outside the box, and then also being able to communicate well with your colleagues and vendors or equipment manufacturers to make sure we bring the end product together, the design plans and technical specs for our client, right, to make sure that system is fully functional once it's constructed.
Yeah, people at times don't realize how many careers or career paths you can find within an engineering firm like ours. You don't necessarily need to be an engineer to be a member of our company. There are so many lateral and peripheral careers where people contribute to our success. But the technical aspect, of course, we're an engineering firm. We're an engineering firm, and but it's exciting to see so many people that take leadership positions within the company who are not engineers, who make magic for us.
Right.
Our marketing team, and I have to say, I would need to give some kudos to our marketing group. Ardurra has an amazing marketing group that deploys the best technology, the best graphics, the best content, and really takes whatever is in your brain and puts it on a piece of paper or a presentation to deliver it to a client. And that's just simply amazing. Loc, I want to jump to water plants for a little bit. You have been working on water plants in Florida and now in Puerto Rico. Can you tell us a little bit about the plant work that you're doing?
Sure. The one in Puerto Rico is the Quebradilla Water Treatment Facility. I am helping a lot of the colleagues do the filter system upgrades there, so that takes, of course, river water and turns it into drinking water. So it's an amazing technology that we have the ability as a company to turn raw water coming from a river into pure drinking water that's safe for everybody in Puerto Rico to drink.
Yes.
We're also doing a project for one of our municipal clients down in the Fort Myers area, which is designing a new reverse osmosis water treatment facility, and that's taking brackish groundwater and making potable drinking water with it.
Many people don't know that the brackish water that we extract from the aquifers here in Florida has got minerals, hardness, other things that we need to remove. And that's why the reverse osmosis technology is so popular. The membrane treatment, this is a technology that has increasingly gone down in cost from what it used to be in the 90s. It was prohibitive to do it back then.
Sure. Yes, now the technology has really, with membrane technologies, different types of membranes that allows various water qualities with respect to TDS levels, really allows it gives us the ability to have design alternatives that we didn't have before 20 years ago.
Talking a little bit about, I wanted to speak with you a little bit about ethical considerations in our business. I know that we handle delicate information for our clients. We have to be very conscious that to protect our clients, which is our mission number one, protect the client. And when I talk about ethical considerations, I'm talking about proprietary information, going out for bids on any particular product or piece of the plant that we may be replacing. How do we keep that alive within our people to educate them as to how to best take care of the client?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great question. So, the Florida statutes recently issued a new regulation that requires the protection of sensitive data, especially for water treatment facilities, right? Drinking water treatment facilities. And so one of the things is many of the projects we execute are design, bid, build, or even whether it's design, build, but it's for public sector. But we still have to maintain that level of security with the proprietary information. And so one of the things that we're able to do is during the bidding process to make sure that we execute proper NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, with any contractors looking to download or even view the design plans or technical specification. And it's really to protect our clients, right? They do have very valuable information that could affect the public, and we want to make sure that we're safeguarding the public plus our clients in those aspects.
Loc, I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about mentoring. Everyone has had a mentor in their career. Can you talk to me about a mentor that you had in your career who really made a difference in what you did and you ended up doing at Ardurra?
Sure. I mean, honestly, my mentor would be Mr. Chris Kussler. He interviewed me back in 2004, right? I even asked him, how did he find me? And he said, well, it's because he applied to Rensselaer and never got in. So that's how he knew of where I came from. I never actually believed him until about a couple years ago. He moved and he actually dug up his rejection letter from Rensselaer and texted to me. So I thought he was always joking, 20 years ago. But yeah, it's real. I would say, yeah, he really guided me and mentored me throughout, my growth here at the company, right? I mean, I really grew up at the company, over the past 20 years, came in as a project engineer all the way to my current level now. I think part of that mentorship with any staff is, being able to communicate with them and always communicate honestly, right? With facts and truth and just honesty and just being a human being. I think we all, crave that mentorship, but having somebody that really cares about you, understands you, and then just being able to communicate with you on a regular basis, right?
Shout out to Chris Kussler for being the mentor and the person who found this man for us, who has done so many wonderful things for our firm. And also a word to young engineers, no matter how old you are, having a mentor is something that will always propel your careers in ways that you never imagined. But more importantly, what Loc just said to us, being honest. I think honesty is really the bottom line of mentoring. You can only benefit from mentoring when you're honest about your shortcomings, about the things that you're good at, etc. But you always want to really temper those, expectations or anxieties if you haven't, because a lot of people say, I'm not very good at doing this, but sometimes they just don't have the full picture, and a mentor can typically guide you in a way that this can be resolved, going forward.
Right, right. And I think that's part of mentorship is really important is, that person needs to support you and trust you, right? And gives you that ability to kind of spread your wings when it's necessary, but always be there to kind of catch you if there's an issue that ever comes up. So, over my course of here at Ardurra, I always felt as a company that the company always had my back. It's given me great opportunities. It's really, as a company at Ardurra, we're able to, the growth is phenomenal, right? New engineers come in, they have a mass variety of projects that we get them involved with, from design to permitting to preliminary engineering, conceptual design. There's just so much that we do that we get everybody involved in. And really the growth at the company is the sky's the limit. It's up to that individual. What do they want to do? But as a company, we're there to support them all the way through from day one.
That is wonderful. When you've been working with Chris for 20 years, and I think it's important to note that King Engineering, which was, one of probably the biggest founding blocks of Ardurra Group and the culture that it had. Chris Kustler's been in this business over 3 decades, and he has that institutional experience. A lot of people think that Ardurra is relatively new, but it really isn't. The culture of engineering has been within us, for very long. Tell me a little bit about the transition when Ardurra came to King and we became together Ardurra. Can you tell me a little bit about that transition?
Sure. I mean, as a company, you're right, LU. Prior to Ardurra, the former company was King Engineering. We had that company was over 35 years old. And so, engineering is not new to our company at all. Prior to
the name may be new, but
the
not
name. That's right. Prior to 2017, we were always a company of approximately 150 employees, right? Headquartered in Tampa, an office in Miami, Sarasota, and also over in Texas. After 2017, we've really, grown as a company just with the acquisitions of other companies and bolting on other engineering disciplines that we did not always offer, whether it be transportation, structural engineering, electrical engineering, all these other engineering disciplines that really help bring a project together. Because every project we have, even whether it just be a utility project or a treatment facility, it may have other components that require other disciplines. And, now as we grow as a larger company, we're able to just do all that. The majority of most projects all in-house. It doesn't require us to have to subcontract out a lot of the work at all. So
you guys had such a critical mass already established in Florida that just becoming Ardurra was not really painful at all, I presume.
No, not at all. I mean, it's been a good growth for us. It really brings in other expertise from other areas. So, we have a really deep bench of resources. I never worry if we get a project or we get asked a question that we don't know the answer to. With the staff that we have, in any office, I always know that there's another person in the firm that will have that answer and that we can bring on board relatively quickly to help execute.
This is good. This is very good. Our chief technology officer lives in Florida too, so we have that advantage. The growth that we have all over the country, is just phenomenal. Activities that we're doing in public outreach and community relations. I had an interview last week with Gabby Dow, who does that particular practice for Ardurra. So this is something that I want to also make you aware of, and our clients, our friends who are watching this podcast. I want to make you aware of the community relations and public outreach group at Ardurra, which is really a critical component. I call it the software part of the job, the hardware being the design, the software being the public outreach, because our clients have got to be very smart in the way they communicate to their communities, to their bosses, be it the city commissioners or mayors or politicians, that are constantly asking questions. So, Loc, you have made Tampa your home. and your children are thriving, living here in Florida. Any closing thoughts that you may have about, the family life that you have been able to live with your wife here in Tampa with your children?
Sure, sure. I mean, Tampa is an amazing place, right? It's always sunny, nice weather, except if a hurricane rolls through. But yes, I always raising the children in Tampa is an amazing place to grow up in. I do, just because of my background, as we discussed earlier, right? I always try to make sure they understand where they come from, right? Where their father comes from, because when you grow up, you do need to know your backgrounds, where you came from to how you got to where you are, right? It's really important.
Yeah. Did you teach the kids Vietnamese?
I try to, but my ability to do that is somewhat limited. So
But they know what's going on when you and your wife may be talking.
that's right. That's right. Or they can at least order from a Vietnamese restaurant at the menu. So that's the important one.
It's such a privilege to be able to transfer that to the kids. That heritage.
Yes.
The treasure of being an American of some other heritage. A country of immigrants after all. Again, everyone, I want to thank you for joining us today for another edition of this Ardurra Podcast, coming to you from Tampa, Florida, where I had the honor of interviewing Loc Truong, our Senior Water Practice Director, and I look forward to seeing you in another edition of this Ardurra Podcast somewhere in the land. See you next time.